Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Legacy Farm, the podcast. I'm your host, Jace Young, and today's topic and discussion is this: how to kill financial scarcity. So we're in this time of year, my friends, where everybody's busy in the field, or at least they have been probably the past 30 to 45 days. And we're at this time of the year where there's not really too much income coming in, right? For a lot of you guys that carry over grain into, the following year, so carrying grain from 2023 into 2024, you've most likely sold a majority of your crop by now, probably got all of it hauled into the elevator, probably by April or so. That's at least what our customers were kind of out there. And now you're at this kind of stagnant point where you're spending all this money getting your crop in the ground or, applying fertilizer or whatever it may be. And you don't have any income coming in. The problem with this, though, is that as a business owner, you start to tell yourself stories, right? And this financial scarcity starts to creep into your life and really just consume you, right? And if it's not handled and taken care of, it can really take you into a deep, dark place mentally that honestly, for a lot of you, it might not be justifiable, right, to be in that place. For some of you, yeah, you definitely should be scared because you haven't managed your finances correctly and you have no idea where you're at. If that's you, then yeah, you need to do something about this, and this is what we're going to talk about. But for a lot of people, at least for our members, they're having all these stories and everything pop up for them, when the reality is there's no validity to them. And it's super easy to get into this. Even the most profitable business owners will sink into this because all we're seeing coming out of our checking account is bill after bill after bill after bill, and no line of credit balance is going up. You got 8-9% interest rate in the back of your mind, and you're paying all this interest to the bank, and it's just massive bills going out. Again, it'll just start to consume a majority of business owners. So we have to understand first, how do we combat this? How do we stop this? Because otherwise it'll drive you into making emotional decisions that are ultimately not going to be what's best for the business. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. This happens time and time again, especially this time of year. Not only have I experienced this in Legacy Farm, but I experienced it when I was in the bank as well. As a NAG loan officer, everybody got nervous this time of year because they didn't have any crop or anything coming in, and any profits or money coming into their checking account yet, and they're just increasing their operating line of credit. So the thing is, again, how do we combat this? How do we move forward from this? Well, very simply, with all of our customers, I push everyone to update their numbers on a monthly basis. Now, the reason for this is because once our customers update their numbers, and I'm talking about updating their balance sheet, updating their borrowing power, and updating their cash flow projections. And on the cash flow projections, we do monthly cash flow projections inside of Legacy Farm because as a business owner, it does not serve you to just do annual cash flow projections. I get that may be the all that your bank requires, but it's ultimately not going to serve you. And the reason is because if you are not reviewing that cash flow and really breaking it down month by month and forcing yourself to go back and review it every single month there to compare your actuals versus your projections, you are allowing the stories to run rampant for 12 months out of the year. Because here's the deal. You can turn that piece of paper into your banker with your annual cash flow projections. You and I both know it's bullshit. It's not your fault. But the reason is how many transactions are happening in your account from January 1st to December 31st, right? There's so many things that are going to change throughout the year. It doesn't matter what your projections say. There's one guarantee about projections. They're always going to be wrong, which is why we need to review them and not only just break them down on an annual basis, but we need things month by month there. That way you are seeing changes happen throughout the month or throughout the year, and you can make changes a lot quicker, right? If you see something happening or there's a big repair expense or something like that that you weren't expecting, you're on top of it now, and you can see how it's going to impact your cash flow going through the next 6, 7, 8 months out of the year, and you can plan accordingly. If you don't have your numbers broken down like this, you are not able to plan, which is only going to carry on and create more financial scarcity inside of your mind because deep down, you don't know where the hell you're at. Right. And this is a massive problem in the industry. And it just blows my mind that banks are only requiring an annual cash flow projection, because if you were loaning me money for my business, you probably wouldn't just want an annual cash flow projection. If you were giving me your hard-earned money and it was $500,000 or $1 million operating line of credit, you're going to expect more detailed and more projections from me when it comes to, justifying to you why I'm a safe bet or a safe investment for your capital, right? And a lot of banks, they're just not doing it. Again, it blows my mind. For a lot of customers and a lot of farmers and ranchers right now, these stories are starting to run, right? These things are starting to consume their mind. And the problem with this as well is that this is not only going to bleed into how you lead inside of your business and how you make critical financial decisions. And I'm talking like the $100,000, $500,000, $1 million decisions throughout the year. It's going to have a massive impact on you there. But it's also going to impact how you show up in other areas of life as well, right? And inside of Legacy Farmer, we talk about this concept, Core 4. You've heard this on other podcasts. But there's a concept within that called the pain web, which means these business problems will bleed into other areas of life. First of all, your fitness and your health, like being overall your mentality and what are the stories going on up here and what's your connection to God or a higher spirit for you. And then the most important one probably is balance, right? In your relationship with your spouse and your kids at home. If you are living in financial scarcity, it is a guarantee that this is having a negative impact in other critical areas of your life. And I know that from experience, because when I left the bank in 2016, basically clear through 2019, I was stuck and trapped in financial scarcity for years, and my wife felt it, my kids felt it, and it really impacted how I showed up, as a husband and father there, and rightfully so. All business owners go through this, and so the way to combat this is you have to update your numbers, and this is exactly what I've been having to have several conversations with our customers over the past 2 months here around when these scarcity thoughts start creeping in and you're just kind of stuck in this. Best thing to do is go update your numbers. And by doing this and having our system for them to use to simply update this, because it literally doesn't take them but an hour to update numbers and get a good picture of where they're at financially and relieve some of that stress, relieve some of that weight that they've been carrying, then ultimately it just kills the financial, scarcity stories that they've been running. But that's why I push everybody to update their numbers on a monthly basis. There's a lot of factors as to why I say that, but that's probably the primary one, because we have to have a system and a method to kill those stories, because it will create this anxiety in us. That anxiety leads to emotion. Those emotions carry over into the big financial decisions. And just by simply not updating your numbers and knowing where you're at financially, it's going to cause you to make countless mistakes throughout the year. And I'm not talking small mistakes either, right? I've said this before on other podcasts. There's no small mistake in farming and ranching or running an ag business in general. So you have to be on top of your game as a business owner. It's your responsibility to lead the business the right way and stay on top of the numbers. So if you're experiencing financial scarcity right now, my question to you is, what are you going to do about it? You better do something, because this thing will carry on and impact other areas of your life, but it'll definitely have a negative impact inside your business. So my friends, that concludes today's episode. I hope you found it valuable, and we will catch you on the next one.